has taken over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall, coast to coast.
It's Ferrall Coast to Coast in the biggest way possible right here on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. Great to have everybody with us on a Monday, Thanksgiving week. No Scotty, Carver High here with you. We got the mayor of Miami, Joe Ranieri, who we'll bring in a moment. We have a lot to do, of course, coming off of the weekend. Plenty of NFL to get to. Lots of college football as well. Craziness in college football on Saturday with a lot of upsets. We have the Harbaugh Bowl tonight that we will get to as well. We got NBA tonight. Lots of college rack, including some afternoon games. Maui Invitational. Everybody always loves that. Gabe Morency's with us in the first hour as always. We'll get him going, get his thoughts from the weekend. Coach Young getting involved as well. As I mentioned, Maui invite with UConn starting things off here this afternoon. So we'll get some rack with Coach later, and then Bill Bender from the Sporting News in the final hour to go through all of the wackiness in college from the weekend. I can't wait to see that new rankings from those suits, the Crack Crab and Lobster Committee that come up with it. They sit around and eat their fancy meals and watch the games all weekend. I can't wait to see how they figure all that out after the mess that they just had. So, like we said, no Scotty here this week. Thanksgiving week, you got me here. And today, alongside the mayor of Miami, 2 days in a row. I am yesterday, too. He had me, I should say. That's his turf yesterday on In-Game Live during the games. And that is the one, the only, Joe Ranieri. Hi, Joe. How are you?
Pleasure to see you once again, Carver. And you show up and we get overtime games. We get missed extra points. Total pandemonium yesterday when you show up. So I can't wait to see what happens during this show.
That was actually, I was going to say, if there was a Sunday for me to parachute in the finishes that we had in some of those games, Joe, and we started the show saying, people say it's not the best slate this week, not a lot of huge games, only 7 games at 1 o'clock. We had Mahomes, having to once again walk off with a field goal, this time against Carolina. You had the craziness. I don't know which one was crazier, Joe. Was the Chicago-Minnesota finish and what went on there, or the Dallas-Washington finish and how that transpired? And I will say here now, me and Joe were on during all of it, and when Washington got the McLaurin touchdown, which just absolute miracle touchdown after the kickoff return by Dallas, Joe said, this kicker's having a miserable day. You're lucky to even get that touchdown. Just go for 2 and try to win this game right now. Do not even line this guy up for a field goal, and sure enough, they missed. Joe, it was a very wild early afternoon window that we had.
Yes, and then, of course, don't forget the ensuing onside kick in which the Cowboy player ran it to the end zone instead of falling down. So it was that last half hour yesterday in the early slate of games was fantastic. Not so much in the late slate, but the early slate, certainly you got your money's worth.
You had, we got lucky, Joe, because there was snoozers the rest of the way. The 4 o'clock window was tough. Very tough, especially that big. Well, you knew that the Packer-Niner game was going to take a hit with the Niners missing 4 of their 5 or 6 best players. You knew that was probably going to happen. 3 touchdowns for Josh Jacobs, and the Packers take care of business. And the Seattle-Arizona game wasn't great, but Seattle got the job done. You, of course, had Denver beating the Raiders as well, and Bo Nix, which we'll talk about later, Joe, has made some headway in that Offensive Rookie of the Year odds board, which we will have to discuss. And then you had at night, I didn't think the Giant day could get worse, how they got embarrassed by the Bucs, and then they had to go and watch Saquon Barkley on primetime rip off 250 yards and 2 tutties. So, how did the breakfast go down for Joe Shane this morning, you think, Joe, after he had to watch that last night?
That poor guy is on every post on Instagram, TikTok, is that one clip of Hard Knocks of him trying to explain to Mara, it's not worth it. I mean, nobody's going to pay him the money. No, he's not worth it. All right. Let me know when he wins the MVP this year how your job's doing. Whew.
And that clip could conceivably, he might just lose his job out of how much that clip's going to get played, and he might never get a chance to be a GM again. That's how bad the situation has gotten for him. And we will, of course, go through all the games from yesterday, and we'll talk about the Giants and Bucks. Not really so much the game, but more the fallout from it. And I will say, Joe, I know Mara said a month ago, I'm not going to fire these guys. I want to bring them back. I want to have stability here. If they're going to go out like this, the way that they played on Sunday, and it's going to look like that the rest of the year, he might not have a choice. He might have to cut the cord with these two guys, and especially if they're going to keep playing the Shane clip over and over with Barkley. I don't think, and there's only one place he can go, Joe, to bring respectability back to the New York Giants. Somebody who drools the New York Giant job and its history. And I'm sure you know who I'm talking about. One Mr. Bill Belichick, who needs a few more wins to get that all-time record. That will be the pairing, Joe. You watch. That'll be the pairing.
Wow. Could you imagine we get Belichick with the Giants and Rex Ryan with the Jets? Could you have anything better next year? I mean, be honest here, right?
No. No, you will not get that. You will not get that. Rex is not going back to the Jets. I do not believe it. Even though they hired Tannenbaum today and Rick Spielman to find their next coach and GM, I just don't believe it'll be Rex. So we'll go through all the games yesterday. We have the Harbaugh Bowl tonight. And I would like to thank, Joe, everybody. I thought it was going to be painful for the last week with the ramp up and the listening. But I guess thankfully because there's so many other things going on, it got a little caught in the shuffle. And maybe the ramp up tonight will be a little bit more, but I thought it would. My ears would hurt by now about the Harbaugh brothers facing each other. But the noise hasn't been that bad, and all I'm really looking forward to tonight, Joe, is a really good game between two playoff teams in the AFC right now. This is a big game.
Any semblance of a good game would be nice here. But listen, I keep hearing that one team is overvalued, overhyped. They haven't played anybody. And the other team is, the Ravens. So, we're going to learn a little something about both these teams here tonight. And I think should be a fantastic game, brother against brother.
And I did see, Joe, that number dipped below 3 today. So a little dip below 3 down to 2.5 with a very, very healthy total, which we'll discuss too. We got a lot of college football to do. You heard me say it, Joe. I don't know what these people are going to do tomorrow night in terms of who. I think the best thing for Indiana, who lost to Ohio State, was that Alabama and Ole Miss lost as well. I think that's probably the best news that Kurt Cignetti and the Hoosiers ever got. And I know there's a lot of people who will fight. They're going to be in anyway because they have one loss. But Joe, there's going to be people pounding the table for 3-loss SEC teams to get into that playoff. And I'm sorry. You lose to teams like Kentucky and Florida, or you lose to teams like Vanderbilt and Oklahoma this year. That's just two bad losses is too many for me, Joe. Too many.
Yeah, I agree with you, but they'll figure out a way to do it. And I personally am going to laugh when Ohio State loses to Michigan next week, and then they fire Ryan Day and hire Cignetti. I think it's going to be a fantastic next couple of months here for Ohio State backers.
It certainly will. So we will go through all of that. We do have NBA tonight as well that we have to get to. Yes, a full slate of NBA, including the Knicks are in Denver against the Nuggets. So we will make sure to go through all the games and dip our toe in some of the things that happened over the weekend. We mentioned Maui Invitational has started. 29-27, UConn leads Memphis. Really good 8 teams you got out there, including, I know, Iowa State, Auburn tonight. You've got North Carolina, Dayton late night. So Colorado, Michigan State, the other game this afternoon. So a strong slate, a lot to do. Ferrall Coast to Coast, Carver High and Joe Ranieri in for Scotty. We get back and we start rocking on the grid right after this.
the sharpest football contest show in the land. The Las Vegas Football Contest Show focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
Grandma Bear, who owns the football team, probably comes in, gives a little, oh, you're such a good little boy out there. Congratulations, the way you coach this football team. I'm never going to fire you.
Totally, I missed you pinching your own cheek. Because I was looking down and did not know we were getting.
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there with that guy named Ben. Like, that's what your grandma would do to you. You go see her on Thanksgiving or Christmas,
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Together, both Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson had huge nights. Aaron Rodgers loves the two big targets, and he says if this is going to happen, it's going to be very tough on the defense to decide who they want to go after.
Adams and this kid, Wilson, I won't deny what they can do, but nobody else does jack.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
And we are back, Ferrall Coast to Coast, here on a Monday. Carver High in for Scotty on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. Good to have everybody with us today. Of course, every day we have Gabe Morency with us, Sports Rage, late night, weeknights, 10 p.m. East, right here on the grid. Gabe, good to see you, as always, my man. And we were just going through some of the stuff from yesterday. You didn't think it was going to be a great day, right? All we said all week was, the slate's not that good. You're coming off Bills, Chiefs, Steelers, Ravens, all these great games, and then the card was kind of subpar, but we did get some wild games in that early window on Sunday. Crazy finishes with Washington, Dallas, and Chicago, Minnesota.
Yeah, real wild finishes. And I think we're at the time of the year right now where there's going to be a lot of this, to be honest. There's just a lot of bad teams, Carver, just point blank. And in fact, I can't really ever recall a season in which there's been as many bad teams as there are in the National Football League. Like, if you look at the standings and you look at the NFL draft order, there's a lot of teams that you'd be like, wow, we've only won 2 games. We've only won 3 games. You must have a really high draft pick. Not really, because everybody else, you get into this tiebreaker stuff with all these other 2-loss teams. I mean, how the Cowboys came in with like the 11th pick. Now they win. There's so much, mediocrity in the National Football League. And now we get at this time of the year where a lot of players are in the for who and for what mode as well. You figure they're always playing for something. They're playing for themselves. But as, I guess the modern term is business decisions, right? You'll see players make a lot of business decisions, as in, I'm not tackling Derrick Henry right now, right? We were a 2-win team. So you got a lot of just sort of bad football. It's been this way for a couple of weeks, actually, Carver, and I think it'll continue. I mean, look at the Thanksgiving slate. Oh, wow, we get to see the New York Giants play the Dallas Cowboys. That's going to be great. Dude, the New York Giants are they're worse than an Ivy League football team, this team. They're beyond bad. How much would you pay to watch the New York Giants play football? I wouldn't pay $2.
$0.
If you gave me a free ticket, and I know that facility well, Carver, if you gave me a free ticket to a Giant game, I'd be like, so in other words, you're telling me you want me to spend $80 to get in and out of there on an Uber? You want me to be stranded in the parking lot after? Imagine giving up your day for the New York Giants. I barely want to watch them on TV. It's just bad stuff. The Thursday nighter's pretty cool. But I thought yesterday, Carver, I said, I guess this is what the NFL is like when the Buffalo Bills don't play. Boring.
Yeah, that it was true. There was a lot of teams off yesterday, including the Bills, and it showed. And you're right. Thursday and even Friday's Kansas City and the Raiders is the Black Friday. I mean, that's 2 years in a row. Amazon tried this Black Friday thing, and both games sucked. Because remember last year they had Jets Dolphins. They thought the Jets would be good, and Rodgers got hurt. They probably would have sucked anyway. But still, this is 2 years in a row. They got a bad game on Black Friday.
You know why it starts at 3 o'clock too, eh? For people out there, they kind of wonder. That's a straight time. They're not allowed playing after 6 o'clock on Friday nights. That whole there's actually a law, like going back to the 50s, about high school football protecting like it really matters. Like at this point, so, like really, like you doesn't change anything in a high school football game. We got what I like the logic too. Oh, we won't. No pro football on Friday nights, but we'll crush the TV. We'll put 1 million college games on. That's fine. So whatever. We're in this TV stuff, but it's funny. It can end after 6, but reasonably after 6. You know what I mean? So that's why they do these Friday games earlier. Just for the record, if anybody's wondering, why don't they just play on Friday night? They can't play on Friday nights due to law, which I'm sure it'll change soon.
Yes, it will. One other thing from yesterday, then we'll get to tonight with the Harbaugh brothers. Last week we had some discussion, you and Scotty did, me and him did, about this MVP, and Allen and Lamar had separated themselves. After last night, it seems like Saquon Barkley, Gabe, he's joined the chat when it comes to the MVP award.
Yeah, how can you not? I said it last night. I was on live during the game. How many games has he single-handedly won for the Eagles this year? Like 5? Like how many times is like the Eagles? How many times you watch an Eagle game this year and you'd be like, man, these guys are underachievers. Like they have all this talent. Their offense doesn't do anything. And then boom. I compare him kind of to Aaron Judge a little bit in the sense that he might strike out. You know what I mean? Like, you'll see, he's only averaging 3.2 yards a carry or something for the first 15 carries or whatever. And that wasn't the case last night, but he keeps coming at you, and eventually he's going to put one over the wall, right? He's going to put one over the fence. And then after he hits a one home run, he's probably going to hit another one. And man, these breakaway runs, it's just comically pathetic too to hear the New York Giant fans try to reason why he's not there. Well, you know what? We weren't winning when he was there. We don't know what it just. So in other words, you don't want like some of the greatest players ever played in football playing on your team. That's what you're telling me. You think it's better not to have him, right? Like the logic of the Giant organization is beyond stupid. But you know they won't give it to a running back, Carver. In the same way they're going to screw Genty over, right? They just don't give it to running backs. It's a quarterback MVP award.
It's like it doesn't matter. It's true. Running backs just get no juice whatsoever when you come to these awards. And Barkley, he's been unbelievable. And it was very quiet today, Gabe. All year, it has been loud with Giant fans in this area. Oh, Barkley, anybody could do that. Blah, blah, blah. They're quiet today because he's having an unbelievable year. And he wouldn't have done anything with the Giants this year. They're awful. You watched Cutlets get destroyed yesterday. Watch their team give up.
Oh, this is the best thing that ever happened. It's the best thing that ever happened for him, right? But if you're the New York Giants now, and I know Mara said earlier that last month, I'm not going to make a change.
That's going to change.
Like you have to. You can't. What are you going to do? Like you're getting worse on a weekly basis, and you're really going to trust Shane and Dable at the draft? And I don't. You know what? They might get the right guy, but then Dable will just ruin the guy, right? Dable's the smartest guy in the room all the time, he thinks. You know what I mean? So he'll know best.
I believe he wanted to bring those guys back, but I also know if it's going to be like this the next 6 weeks, like it was yesterday, there's no way both those guys are back because Mara's not going to be able to he can't get around it. And he cares a lot about the perception of his team, his fans, and he's not going to want to deal with it because they're ready to throw him.
It's hard to believe he cares about the perception. Because, bro, you suck. You're going to complain once like Stephen A. Smith. So one time Stephen A's right. You suck.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
Grandma Bear, who owns the football team, probably comes in, gives a little, oh, hey, you're such a good little boy out there. Congratulations, the way you coach this football team. I'm never going to fire you.
Quarterly, I missed you pinching your own cheek. Because I was looking down and did not know we were getting.
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there with that guy named Ben. Like, that's what your grandma would do to you when you go see her on Thanksgiving or Christmas, you know?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Together, both Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson had huge nights. Aaron Rodgers loves the two big targets, and he says if this is going to happen, going to be very tough on the defense to decide who they want to go after.
Adams and this kid, Wilson, I won't deny what they can do, but nobody else does jack.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
And we are back, Ferrall Coast to Coast here on a Monday. Carver High in for Scotty on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. Gabe Morency's with us, of course, Sports Rage Late Night. Weeknights, 10 p.m. East here on the grid. All right, Gabe, Harbaugh Bowl tonight in Los Angeles. Ravens and Chargers. We saw this really at 3 most of the week. It's gotten below 3 now, 2.5 for Baltimore on the road, and a very healthy 50.5 total. What do you like tonight in the Harbaugh Bowl?
Well, this is quite a unique situation with two brothers going head-to-head like this, and two brothers that are as competitive people as there are in the world of professional sports. And all you need to know about this, guys, is a lot of people, including myself, have been talking about how John is 2-0 against Jim in their careers going head-to-head. And all you need to know about the competitive nature of this is John reminded people, no, I'm 3-0. We played in the preseason once too. He brought up a preseason game that he won against Jim. So deep down inside, this is bothering Jim big time. I mean, hell, he lost the freaking Super Bowl to his brother, right? So he lost the Super Bowl to his brother. He hasn't beaten him, and I kind of think this streak continues, to be honest, tonight. This is a super tough game from a handicapping perspective and a betting perspective. Let's call it out for what it is. You can make an argument for both teams. They're very evenly matched. You got brothers that are going head-to-head and that know each other's playbook, like, inside out, bro. Like, when Harbaugh was at Michigan, guys, like, he was consulting Baltimore. You know what I mean? Like, they speak, like, with Daly. All right, what do you think about this defense? What do you think about that? Yeah, what about that play call? Bro, they're inseparable. Right, like point blank, like they know each other. It's sort of like the LaFleur and Shanahan stuff, except different. This is even more so. So you know what I mean? It's going to be decided by the players and which coach sort of thinks outside the box a little bit more. And I think that coach is John. And I'm a big Jim guy, obviously being a Michigan fan, Carver. But Jim is very predictable, right? He's going to do what he's going to do. And they stick to it. The plan, the team. I think John, sometimes it'll backfire on him, but I think he'll think outside the box a little bit more than Jim will. And this is a must-win situation for the Baltimore Ravens tonight. And I don't really bet on teams because of that. If you're in a must-win situation, you're not a great team. And I don't think they're a great team, but I think they're a very good team. But to me, Carver, why I like the Ravens tonight, the Chargers, play the way the Ravens, the Chargers want to be like the Ravens, right? They want to play smash mouth football. They want to do what the Ravens do, except I just think the Ravens are a little bit more ahead of them. I know they have, a worse record, but let's look at the schedules that they played as well. And, this Charger offense, though, started to open up now, Carver, right? They're not just running the ball. They're starting to spread the field a little bit more now. Should be a really, really fun football game. But my gut feel tells me that the Baltimore Ravens are going to get it done tonight.
I mean, he's even got the guys he's got as coordinators are former Raven guys, too. So, it's really the game. The team really has been built off of what Baltimore does, what his brother's team did well.
Let's look at Baltimore and let's do it.
Exactly. And
that's
same thing
why
with
they have
Michigan.
Roman. If you look at Michigan, it's the same thing. All right, McDonald's in Seattle now. McDonald was in Michigan. He was at Baltimore. Jesse Minter was at Michigan. He's with the Chargers. Dude, Michigan used to pluck the hot coaches from Baltimore, right? John would tell me, listen, this guy's going to be a star coach. And okay, I'll make Minter my DC then. Give me a send over McDonald, and we'll send him back to you. Like they were trading guys almost.
And
now you see they're all in the league, and they're all Seattle doing the same thing, Carver. They all think the same way. It's almost like the old Andy Reid tree, right? There's a mini Harbaugh tree now.
There's a mini Harbaugh tree that's starting to grow. Oh, we only got a minute left. I'll do some college with you tomorrow because tomorrow night's when they're putting those rankings out, and I have no idea what those people are going to do after all those losses this weekend.
Shake it up.
You like anything? You like anything tonight? You got hockey. You got NBA. We've got a ton of college basketball. This Maui's going on. Is there anything you want to put on the table here?
One thing I'll throw out here just quickly, and follow me online. I'll post pics all day, obviously, and I'll dig down deep. But keep your eye on this Wisconsin Badger basketball team, Carver. They're not the old school Badgers. This team puts points up on the board. They're smoking teams. So, we've done very well with college basketball, just sort of picking our spots with selective teams. Stanford's another team that hasn't lost yet this year. So we'll have some college basketball picks ready to go. But give me the Baltimore Ravens tonight. And, of course, our patented long field goal over prop. Dicker and Tucker.
There you go. Gabe
it's going over.
Yes, got lots of field goals with those guys. Over.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
Grandma Bear, who owns the football team, probably comes in, gives a little, you're such a good little boy out there. Congratulations, the way you coach this football team. I'm never going to fire you.
Quarterly, I missed you pinching your own cheek as I was looking down and did not know we were getting.
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there with that guy named Ben. That's what your grandma would do to you when you go see her on Thanksgiving or Christmas,
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Together, both Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson had huge nights. Aaron Rodgers loves the two big targets, and he says if this is going to happen, it's going to be very tough on the defense to decide who they want to go after.
Adams and this kid, Wilson, I won't deny what they can do, but nobody else does jack.
Ferrall coast to coast, only on SportsGrid.
And we are back, Ferrall, Coast to Coast here on a Monday. Carver High and Joe Ranieri in for Scotty on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. Great to have everybody with us here today. All right, Joe, we got a lot of ground to cover here over the next couple of hours. Why don't we start with some stuff from yesterday in the NFL? We'll go to the night game first. Eagles beat the Rams 37-20. Of course, the story here is going to be Saquon Barkley, who is vaulting himself into some serious MVP discussion. He went last night, Joe. He had 26 carries for 255 yards, 2 long 70-plus touchdowns. By the way, he also caught 4 balls for 47 yards, in case you wanted to tap that in as well, for a nice, crisp, clean, like 300 yards of total offense night from Saquon Barkley. Here is the touchdown that I thought really started to put this one away. Right out of the half, they did a bit. Did you see him do the interview with McVay coming on the field at halftime? If we could just get one stop here, we can get ourselves back in this game. First play, no stop. Westwood One Sports.
Eagles will start with the ball on the far side left hash. 1st and 10 from the 30. Pistol formation. Barkley is the running back. Receivers left and right. Hurts left foot in front of right. Brings Covey in motion from the left. Here's the snap. Hurts turns, hands it off Barkley. Runs along the right hash up to the 35, 40, 45, 50. Down the right sideline. Barkley to the 30. Saquon Barkley is gone. Touchdown Eagles. On the opening play of the second half, Saquon Barkley bounces outside right and scampers 70 yards. A Philadelphia touchdown.
No better place, Joe, to do stuff like that than in prime time in Los Angeles at SoFi with everybody watching. Barkley, he is having just a ridiculous year. And, man, Mara's head hitting the pillow last night, or Joe Shane and any of the guys from the Giants. It must have been some night's sleep for them after watching Saquon.
No. Well, anybody watching it, the dude averaged almost 10 yards a carry last night. You got to be kidding me, Carver. Like, it was like, it looked like the old Tecmo Bowl. Remember that? When Christian Okoye and Bo Jackson, you just couldn't tackle him. He was just bouncing off of guys left and right. It was video game numbers. And more importantly, I think, what you won't hear about is the defense sacking Stafford 5 times. This defense continues to get better. And with Saquon Barkley and A.J. Brown, this is a very dangerous Philadelphia team. Why are they flying under the radar as little head scratching to me? Nobody seems to be talking about them a lot.
You think they're flying under the radar? It's a great point, Joe. Do you think they're flying under the radar because the Lions have been so dominant in the NFC, going to 10-1 yesterday, of course. But it seems like all the talk is Lions. Lions, destructive. Joe, they're only one game behind them. The Lions are 10-1. The Eagles are 9-2 now. All those people who wanted to run Nick Sirianni out of town, and I'm sure some of them still do. If you go listen to Philadelphia Sports Talk Radio, I'm sure there's a few that still don't think that they'll win because of Sirianni. But, Joe, they're one game back. And that's going to be critical. I was kind of looking at the schedules before. The Lions have some pretty tough games. I know they're 10-1 and they're probably the best team in the NFC, but there's a big difference from playing a late January potential NFC title game outside in Philadelphia or playing it indoors in Detroit. There's a pretty big difference in that, Joe.
Yeah, there's a huge difference in that. And I tell you what, tonight's game is going to make it very interesting next week when Philadelphia plays at Baltimore. And, boy, you want to talk about a good litmus test between those two teams. If Baltimore is able to win tonight, taking on Philadelphia, which could be a potential, Super Bowl matchup, I think that's going to be must-watch television. But I think most people are just expecting Sirianni to self-implode here. But I got to tell you, what I've seen from Vic Fangio's defense here in Philadelphia, I don't even think Sirianni can screw this up. They have an identity. They stick with it. and that identity will win games in January, Carver.
It certainly will. Defense travels, Joe, as they always like to say. Defense travels, and their defense doesn't get the gas that maybe Barkley does. And Barkley's having an unbelievable year. He deserves what he's getting. But the defense has also been good. How much are you buying into now Barkley being plus 650, third on the board for the MVP behind Allen and Lamar Jackson?
Well, I mean, listen, it's a quarterback-driven league. It's a quarterback award because quarterbacks will get talked to. I mean, listen, he's 130 rushing yard game away from being irrelevant, right? And that's unfortunate. But listen, if he can keep doing this, he's very much in the conversation, more than Josh Allen, more than Lamar. But he's just got to avoid that, 12 yards and one defense stuffs him. Which, again, next week will be very interesting against the Baltimore Ravens rush defense. How good can he be?
Well, that's the thing. And I think the quarterbacks, maybe sometimes unjustly so, are so attached to wins and losses with that award, right? Like, it's so, you lose and you're dropping down. And we've kind of had this talk with the Heisman too. And if you're not a quarterback and you're kind of in those talks, do you get penalized the same way if your team loses? Like, is the running back going to get penalized for a loss the same way a quarterback does? Did Travis Hunter get penalized the same way in the Heisman race when his team lost on Saturday? Does he get penalized the same way? It's interesting, Joe, how those dynamics work because the quarterbacks always get penalized for it.
Yeah, they always do. It's a what have you done for me now lately, right? I mean, that's basically what it is. And the problem that I have is that most of the media has been talking about how this is Josh Allen's year. You know it and I know it, that this is the year he's going to be able to get it. And as long as that narrative continues, it's going to be very hard to take him off of that top spot.
I agree with you, and I hope that he continues to stay there so that we can say that. Staying in the NFC East, we were on for the end of this game yesterday. I listened to a bunch of different feeds for this. I was trying to find the best. I think the Washington radio crew are the ones who probably nailed it the best. This is the wild finish to the Cowboys and Washington yesterday. This is the return for the touchdown on the kickoff, the McLaurin touchdown, and then the missed extra point right after. All of it on Washington radio.
He picks it up at the goal line at the 10, spins there. What a move by Turpin at the 20, 25-30, 35-40. If he beats Seibert, he's going to go. Kavontae Turpin is gone. He fumbled the kickoff, picked it up at the goal line, goes the distance. Touchdown, Cowboys. Dallas just brings 3. He's able to step up, lobs one over to Terry McLaurin, who's open. 45-50, 45-40, turns on the Jets. He's gone! Touchdown! Touchdown, Washington! They've done it again! Another miracle in Landover! We got an extra point. The game is not tied. Austin Seibert has to make this. He's already missed an extra point. It's berserk. Snap. Low. Trustway gets it down. No. Seibert's kick. Back. Snap! Bad snap! A bad snap. They got the hold down, and Seibert missed it left.
Now, Joe, they blame the snap. You had to be nervous about that guy, and the guy did get the ball back set up. I know the snap was a little tricky, but he got the ball up and he hooked it like 15, 20 yards to the left. I mean, he wasn't even close. He shanked it, Joe.
He shanked the first one too. When he looked like a deer caught in the headlights in the first half. Why in the world did you think any of that was going to change in the second half with the game on the line? It was just you knew it was coming, Carver, and we said it live on air.
They have now lost 3 games in a row, Washington. They are now 7-5, and they have brought themselves back to the pack with the rest. And they're still a team that has to have a bye. They got a bye after next week, so that's going to be a week that all those 6-5, 5-6 teams have a chance to gain a little ground on them. Going to be a long December for Washington after losing 3 games in a row. We'll come back. We'll get coaching with some rack. More with me and Jim with the NFL later. Coast to coast on a Monday. We're back after.
the sharpest football contest show in the land. The Las Vegas Football Contest Show focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
Grandma Bear, who owns the football team, probably comes in, gives a little, you're such a good little boy out there. Congratulations, the way you coach this football team. I'm never going to fire you.
Fortunately, I missed you pinching your own cheek. As I was looking down and did not know we were getting.
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there with that guy named Ben. Like, that's what your grandma would do to you. He goes here on Thanksgiving or Christmas,
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Together, both Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson had huge nights. Aaron Rodgers loves the two big targets, and he says if this is going to happen, going to be very tough on the defense to decide who they want to go after.
Adams and this kid, Wilson, I won't deny what they can do, but nobody else does jack.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
And we are back, Ferrall Coast to Coast on a Monday. Carver High in for Scotty on SportsGrid at SportsGrid Radio. Great to have everybody with us here today. Always good to have Coach James Young with us, talking rack. And there is a lot. We usually, this is the week, Coach, where I think people who maybe they know college basketball has started, but they haven't really gotten to check in yet because there's so many other things going on. This is usually the week where they at least dip their toe in the water and see what's going on, because some of these holiday tournaments, they got some heavy hitters. I mean, this Maui, I know they're back on the Big Island this year, and it is a great field that's underway with UConn this afternoon. So we love the Maui, Coach. You got a bunch of others. I know Kansas and Duke are playing in Vegas tomorrow night. There's just a bunch of really great games this week.
Yeah, they really are, Carver High. And if you really look at it, we'll talk about it a little bit. There's a great game tonight. I mean, Auburn and Iowa State. I mean, this is I think number 3 and number 4, and number 4 and number 5 in the country, especially after Auburn getting that big win over Houston last week after the Flygate, I guess, whatever you want to call it. But, yeah, I think when you get the feast week, right, when you get the Battle for Atlantis, when you get the Maui Invitational, you get the big matchup, like you said, in Las Vegas tomorrow night. This is when people start to pay attention as the college football regular season ends and college basketball kind of gets into that third week. That's when we start to kind of pick up steam when it comes to college basketball.
You certainly do. And by the way, UConn's down to Memphis in that Maui Invitational opener right now. 44-43 Memphis leads as they get going here. So we have a few games that we'll run through here, Coach, quickly. We have Fort Myers, where they've been playing games down there for the last few days. Beach Division tonight, Michigan and Va Tech. That's a 6 o'clock East tip. What do we like in this game?
I'm going to go with Michigan. I mean, Va Tech is 0-4 against spread the last 4 games. Dusty May brought in some guys to transfer into Michigan. I just think they're a little bit more battle tested. Virginia Tech's only had one game, I think, versus a Power 5, Power 4 team. Didn't go well. Give me Michigan minus 10.5. I think they get a big win.
The other game down there in Fort Myers, I believe, Coach, is the Xavier game. There's so many games today that it's tough to get through all of them. Xavier, South Carolina. That is the second game of that Fort Myers tip-off doubleheader after Michigan. Xavier minus 5.5 tonight, as that's moved from earlier today.
Yeah, with 6.5, it's kind of moved down a little bit, down a point. If you look at this team with Xavier, they've been a little bit more battle tested. They had a good win over Wake Forest by 15, a team that beat Michigan. But if you look at South Carolina, beating Mercer by 12, there's nothing to write home about. I'm not going to talk about what they did talented, but the one time they played a team that was pretty decent, Indiana, lost by 16. I like what that is. I'm not that model. What am I saying? What Sean Miller's doing over at Xavier. Give me Xavier minus the points.
I love the Maui, and you have one of the games featured here, which is, of course, this heavy hitter game, number 4 Auburn and number 5 Iowa State. Auburn at this very second, minus 4.5 with the 144.5 total. That's the third game of 4 in Maui today.
So this is where people are going to think I'm crazy, right? So Auburn averages about 87.3 points per game, and then Iowa State averages about 84 points a game. So where am I going? I'm taking the under. Carver High, simply put, these are two of the top 20 defenses in the country. Bruce Pearl, great coach, obviously. Usberger, great coach defensively. They hang their hats on the defensive end. And I think you're going to get a really tightly contested game. Give me under 140.5 in the contest tonight.
Now, quickly, Coach, what do you like in those other two? Because I know Michigan State's playing Colorado and UNC's playing Dayton. Those are the other ones. And by the way, I told you, UConn's getting a push here. This is actually like the first real team UConn's played this year. They're not playing New Hampshire, Sacred Heart, and Lemoyne today. These games are going to play in Maui. You're really going to find out about the two-time defending champs.
No, and they're getting it right now. If you look at the fact that the two of your better shooters and Liam McNeely and Alex Carabin are combined 3 for 12 from the floor, and so that's something you have to be worried about if you're Dan Hurley, is they haven't got pushed yet. But when you talk about the other two games in Maui, I'm going to go with Michigan State. I'm going to go with Michigan State minus the points, and I'm going to go with North Carolina minus points. North Carolina, if I'm not mistaken, what has been out there, they played at Hawaii, so they've been out there a couple of days already. So I think that was smart by Hubert Davis getting them out there, because I know even going from the East Coast to the West Coast 3 hours is something. Going another 3 hours, that's a lot. Smart by Hubert Davis. He took advantage. Give me North Carolina minus the points.
I had the cover on Friday night. They won by 19 at Hawaii against them. So they played Hawaii Friday night, got there a little early. Nice job by them for that. All right, lots of NBA this evening. And then, of course, you have some NBA Cup tomorrow. Give me your NBA plays first, and then tell me about all the guys who are coming back tonight and tomorrow. There's a ton of guys who have been injured, all coming back at the same time.
Yeah, we're going to go props today, Carver. Simply props. Play number 1, Karl Anthony Towns, over 2.5 assists, over 5 in the last 6 games, 9 out of 15 to start the season. Carver, simply put, I think he tries to take Joker off the bounce. You collapse the floor, kick out, look for Karl Anthony Towns, over 2.5 assists. Next, Tyrese Halliburton. A lot of people have been talking about him. Over 12.5 rebounds plus a 6 assist at minus 140. Listen, he's under 3 of the last 4 games. You're playing a poor defensive team in New Orleans that shoots a lot of threes, and you're going to want to run. Give me over 12.5 for Tyrese Halliburton. And lastly, DeMar DeRozan, over 3.5 rebounds, over in his last 3 games. And you look at the matchup tonight, playing, the Thunder, they may bomb away from 3 a little bit, especially if you have to guard someone like Lou Dort, not a great shooter. Give me DeMar DeRozan. He hangs around, over 3.5 rebounds tonight.
It looks like, Coach, you're going to get Porzingis tonight, Durant and Beal tomorrow. I think Ja tonight. You're getting a lot of stars back here this week. And I know Wemby came back for the Spurs last night, too, and he missed a couple games.
Yeah, I think that the Ja thing's going to be interesting because they had been, 3-2 to the last 5, but he kind of drives that engine. That team I really thought would play well. Porzingis obviously now gets the Celtics whole, and I think that makes them even more dangerous. But you got to look at Beal and Durant. If they could stay healthy, Carver High, look what they did before these guys got hurt. If they could stay healthy, they can make a run. Carver High, the problem is they never stay healthy.
And the NBA rang the bell, Coach. They told these teams, we haven't had a lot of juice for this NBA Cup. I need all these guys back on the floor. Let's go. Enough with the nights off. We got to get everyone playing. Coach James Young here with Ferrall Coast to Coast on a Monday. We're back right after this.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
Grandma Bear, who owns the football team, probably comes in, gives a little, oh, man, you're such a good little boy out there. Congratulations, the way you coach this football team. I'm never going to fire you.
Fortunately, I missed you picking your own sheep. Because I was looking down and did not know we were getting...
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there with that guy named Ben. Like, that's what your grandma would do to you when you go see her on Thanksgiving or Christmas, you know?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Together, both Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson had huge nights. Aaron Rodgers loves the two big targets, and he says if this is going to happen, it's going to be very tough on the defense to decide who they want to go after.
Adams and this kid, Wilson, I won't deny what they can do, but nobody else does jack.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
And we are back, Ferrall Coast to Coast on a Monday. Carver High and Joe Ranieri in for Scotty on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. Joe, we were just talking about this, and we'll keep people updated because this is a hell of a game. First of 4 in Maui this afternoon. Memphis and UConn, number 2 UConn, first real test. As I was saying to Coach, this is not Lemoyne and Sacred Heart that they're lined up with. 48 all with just under 14 minutes left to go in that game. So a fun one right now brewing, and their other games are, we'll talk about some of them later, Joe. You got a heavy hitter day. Colorado, Michigan State, Auburn, Iowa State, late night North Carolina, Dayton. Maui is always the tournament that kind of brings out, it's like the first time you peek through the window and say, oh, here's college basketball. These are games to watch.
Yeah, and this could very well be one. They booked this tournament out, a couple of years in advance, but this looks like the last year of getting all blue bloods and the top-notch programs in the country because, it does cost a lot of money to fly an entire team out to Hawaii. And with the new era of NIL money and everything else, yeah, they're going to be cutting a few corners to afford these players. And trips like out here to Maui to test your team might not be a priority for a lot of them. So enjoy it while we can this year.
That's why they stopped having, like, the Great Alaskan Shootout, right, Joe? Remember they used to send 8 teams up to Alaska, and then by the time that ended, I mean, I remember there was a year St. John's was there, and, like, the other teams that were there, it was like, the 9th and 10th teams in a conference. Like, there was nobody good making the trip up to Alaska, and they finally said, all right, we'll shut this one down. We're finished here. And there's also, like, Atlantis started happening. So let's think about it, Joe. Alaska or Atlantis? Alaska or Atlantis? Teams are going to make that decision fairly quickly. Another game that we had on yesterday while we were doing in-game live was this Minnesota-Chicago game, which was bonkers in the fact that Minnesota was up, was it 14, Joe, right? They were up 14 in this game, and they went for 2 and didn't get it, right? Is that how this all the math I'm trying to put back together? Went for 2, didn't get it, got the onside kick, or the onside kick was after. There was so much stuff that happened towards the end of the Chicago-Minnesota game, if you had the 3.5 ticket for the Bears, the ups and downs of the escalator were really starting to get you. And even in overtime, because the Vikings got inside the 5, you thought they might punch it in and really rip your heart out. But thankfully, Minnesota settled for 3. Vikings radio, Paul Allen.
Yes, sir. Fall on it and kick it again.
Jake McQuaid, the long snapper. Ryan Wright holds. This is a 29-yard field goal between the hash marks to win it. Snap spot. Romo! Yes! And the Minnesota Vikings have won 5 consecutive games at Soldier Field. The final score, 30-27.
So just to backtrack, Joe, so I get it all right. They had the touchdown and missed the 2 to make it an 8-point game. Minnie tacked on a field goal with $1:56 left. Another Chicago touchdown, get the 2. Then the onside kick. Then the Santos field goal after that DJ Moore catch. An absolutely wild about 25 minutes of real time between Chicago and Minnesota. But, it's a crazy game, Joe, but the story remains the same. The Bears find a way. As spectacular as that was yesterday, they still find a way to lose.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I mean, to put it in perspective, it was 11 points that Minnesota gave up in the final 22 seconds of regulation. 11 points. And then that was what sent it to overtime. And I don't think what people don't understand is Chicago got the ball first, I think, and ended up losing 15 yards on that drive. Was fantastic. So they had to punt it away. And the vaunted defense, guess what? Sam Darnold picked them apart on that overtime drive eventually. And we were laughing because we were part of that group that had the 3.5 with Chicago. We're going, this is either going to be the greatest thing or the worst thing in the world going to overtime. And they kind of took their foot off the gas once they were in field goal range and kicked the field goal. So the cover was good, but no excuse for Chicago to have 11 points in 22 seconds, get the opening kickoff, all the momentum, and go absolutely nowhere with it.
I was saying, I said to you, I've been better off Santos missing that field goal at the end of regulation. Just end it. Just enough. Just take the 3.5 and get the hell out of there. And don't cause anything else to happen. All right, we'll come back, and we have a lot more to do. Ferrall Coast to Coast on a Monday. Carver High and Joe Ranieri in for Scotty. We're back after this. Together, both Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson had huge nights. Aaron Rodgers loves the 2 big targets, and he says if this is going to happen, it's going to be very tough on the defense to decide who they want to go after.
Adams and this kid, Wilson, I won't deny what they can do, but nobody else does jack.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Grandma Bear, who owns the football team, probably comes in, gives a little, you're such a good little boy out there. Congratulations, the way you coach this football team. I'm never going to fire you.
Quarterly, I missed you picking your own sheep as I was looking down and did not know we were getting.
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there with that guy named Ben. But that's what your grandma would do to you when you go see her on Thanksgiving or Christmas,
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern